Hello and welcome to Live Local and Loud with Kevin Gaughan. My name's Kevin Gaughan, and in the next hour she'll be chatting to some live musicians from the local music scene where the music's best played loud. In this week's show I shall be chatting to Chris Sims, who's the promoter at The Musician. She'll be chatting about how they're going to open the doors at The Musician after the lockdown. And Lee from Prime UK Band will be chatting to John Jones, local singer-songwriter who's spent the last few years performing on various cruise ships going around the world. So that'll be our musician to musician chat in the second half of the programme. But first up, we'll have a catchy little number by a band called Kinch. That's spelt K-Y-N-C for Charlie H. They recently released their debut EP, which was recorded in Abbey Street Studios. They did that just before lockdown at the beginning of the year. So here's Kinch, The Buzz.
Kick you on the street, don't show me the fuss. Yeah, just show me your age, baby. Now show me the buzz. You don't know us to live in, I will be in your debt. So don't waste all my time and don't cast me in net. Carry in the new world, turn over, turn over. Religion in the new world, turn over, turn over.
That was Kinch, The Buzz. Great little band. Seen them many times on the Leicester local music scene. But now we're going to have a chat with Chris Sims from The Musician, the promoter there. And she's going to be telling us about gigs that she's going to be putting on shortly and what they're going to look like after the lockdown. Hi Chris, and thanks for coming on my little show today.
No problem.
Now you're one of the promoters at the lovely Musician. How long have you been doing that for, Chris?
I've been promoting Getting On for 13 years now.
Wow, you must have seen a few changes in the old music scene.
Yes, yeah, quite a few. And the same old faces most of the time.
Yeah, I know there are some regulars, aren't there, that are always seem to go to all the gigs, which is great. Would you say, I mean, I know obviously things are totally different now, but have you got has the music scene changed much in the few years that you've been promoting?
I think to a certain extent we're getting less, I don't want to say less original acts, but we're certainly getting more tributes than we did have. And we're getting bigger audiences for the tributes and probably less for the original, which in a way is sad.
It is,
some of the tribute bands, the people who play in the tribute bands, in many cases are actually in originals bands as well, but have to do the tributes to actually make any money out of it.
Yeah, because that's, like you say, it's a bit unfortunate that's what people, I suppose, people pay more money to, or people are more likely to go and see, aren't they?
Yeah,
they go and see familiar music as opposed to something that's new. Yeah. Okay. Chris, what made you get into promoting?
The first gig I ever did, which would have been the first 13 years ago, was I booked Dr. Feelgood for a friend who was doing a charity bike ride in China.
Oh, right. The actual Dr. Feelgood.
The actual Dr. Feelgood.
Oh, right.
And I did that as a charity gig, so I paid their fee, and then the rest of it went towards my friend's charity.
Wow.
And at the end of the night, Darren at the venue said to me, I've asked them if they'll come back. Do you want it to go through you? So I sort of said yes, and then everything got a little bit out of hand from then on. So that's how it started.
And now he just sends everything through you.
Not quite, but a fair bit.
So that would have been one of the best gigs you put on then, I take it, or...
I have Dr. Feelgood every year now.
Really?
They come back every December. I have got them booked in this December, but whether that will happen is another thing.
Oh, brilliant! Because I know there's a few Dr. Feelgood tributes, aren't there, that are around the scene as well?
Yes. In fact, I went to see one not last Friday, the Friday before at the Vic Bikers Club in Colville.
Oh, right. And what were they like?
Yeah, good. Malpractice. They're not bad at all.
Yeah.
It was an interesting gig. First one I've been to, obviously, since lockdown with the social distancing and everything, but it was nice to get out.
Yeah, brilliant. I think it was probably about the week before that then I went to a gig at the Victoria Bikers Pub as well.
All right.
So I suppose that's the thing, because they can do outdoor gigs,
exactly.
and they can open up earlier. Okay, well, let's chat a little bit more about that after a break. Let's play a song from one of the bands that play at the Musician quite a bit. Let's play the Delagrants. So that we're going to play 2020 by the Delagrants, and I gather this song was actually written while they were in lockdown. Is that right, Chris?
It was, yes. It was.
Brilliant. Okay, so here's the Delagrants and 2020.
When this virus
I'm back with Chris Sims, promoter at The Musician. So, Chris, tell me, why The Musician and no other venues? Well, you've just told me, I suppose, you put your first gig on at The Musician. Have you thought about putting gigs on at other venues?
I have in the past used a couple of other venues, but if I'm honest with you, the atmosphere at The Musician is so good and it's so easygoing that I much prefer to work there. You know, there's a kettle constantly within use, which is extremely important because we all need tea all night. And it's just like a home from home, really. And I'm sure a lot of people would tell you the same thing.
Yeah, I must admit, when you do have the sort of more folky, acousticy sort of gigs, and they get the tables out, that's a very nice atmosphere, isn't it? Very quite intimate with it, with the candles as well. You usually have candles on the tables, is that right?
Little tea lights, yes.
Yeah, brilliant, which is lovely. But thing is, with so at the moment though, I see it's got quite a lot of gigs going in the calendar at The Musician, hasn't it?
There is stuff. I think we're trying to put acoustic things in. Promoters are sort of trying to book acoustic stuff, which might happen.
Right.
The problem we have is obviously there's no outdoor area, so we're not open as yet, and it's very much going to depend on what happens with the local Leicester part lockdown. Until they ease that, then there's no way of doing anything really. No,
okay. But you've ambitiously got some actual dates in there. When's your first gig then that you've got lined up?
Mine is the 4th of September, which is Adam Norsworthy, who's the lead singer of the Mustangs and the Milkmen, and Max Manning, who's the lead singer of the Della Grants.
Oh, yeah.
So we were going to try and do they're going to do a spot each and then come together at the end. So that will be a seated gig, and obviously that will be socially distanced as well. So we're looking at, I don't know, maybe 40, 50 people.
Right, so that's only a couple of weeks' time, isn't it?
It is. If it doesn't go, I mean, we have sold tickets for it. If it doesn't go ahead, then I'll just move it into later into the year when something band-wise has been cancelled that can't go ahead.
Okay. So presumably, though, if it does go ahead, do you think The Musician will be making any money out of it, or will it be run at a loss?
I think the likelihood is at the moment that most of the gigs will probably be running at a loss. If you've got 40 people in, that generally we like to get 50 in to say we'll break even.
Right.
With 40, it's struggling, but at least it's opening and we're getting people out again.
If they do if it does run at a bit of a loss, I see the crowdfunder. The Musicians have been running the crowdfunder, haven't they? Which has got about $6.5 grand in it at the moment.
Yeah, that's the Music Venues Trust one. Yes. Yeah, that's been really helpful.
Yeah. So that will be helpful then if they do run at a bit of a loss for maybe a couple of months, and they'll be tucking into that then a little bit. Is that right?
Yeah. It'll at least keep things going and the bills paid. Yeah.
Okay. So that's good. That's quite handy. Yeah, so how do you have you got any views on how you think this current period might have affected the music scene in Leicester in the near future?
I think the main worry is going to be whether people are actually confident enough to come back out. I mean, I don't know how you found when I went to the Big Bikers the other week. It was capacity at 40.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot of people who have been so scared. And we all seem to be just looking at the media and not actually going out and doing anything. And there's so much of it on the news, that's all there is. And I think it's just frightening people into worrying too much, just sitting in their houses and worrying about it.
Yes.
So it'll depend whether people actually have the confidence to come out and are not too scared.
Okay, because I've seen, some of the other venues like the Sound House, fortunately they've got some outdoor space, so they've opened up, haven't they, with their outdoor gigs.
Yeah, the Sound House and the Donkey, although I think the Donkey had to cancel Sunday's gig because of the weather.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's no shelter, and it's just, if it's absolutely heaving it down with rain, it's not a particularly pleasant experience.
No, that's right. Although the Donkey has got quite a large inside area, so...
They have, but unfortunately, just the same with all of us, we can't use it at the moment. So
your next gig, you've told us what date was the next gig coming up? The first gig that you're putting on at the
first
Musician?
One I got is Friday the 4th of September.
Right, excellent. So we'll look at that. And who was that by again? Did you say?
That's Max Manning, the lead singer of the Della Grants,
yeah.
and Adam Norsworthy, who is the lead singer of the Mustangs and the Milkmen.
Good. So that sounds like a great lineup if it does happen. So hopefully it will. How do people need to book tickets for that then in advance?
The tickets for all the gigs are on ticketweb.co.uk, and obviously that's the best way to do it, really, so that they're in advance and we know who's coming.
Okay, that's brilliant. And as with all these gigs, if people want to find out about all the gigs at the Musician and other gigs coming up, just check out our gig diary in musicinleicester.co.uk. Okay, Chris. Well, thanks very much for chatting to me today on my little interview. So let's play you out now. Let's play a song by Dawson Smith and the Dissenters. What made you choose the Dawson Smith and the Dissenters, Chris?
Dawson, very much stalwart of the Leicester music scene, been around for years, and all their gigs are always a good time, and they play frequently, and lots of people love them.
Okay, that's brilliant. So thank you very much, Chris, and here's Dawson Smith and the Dissenters, Back to Midnight.
Thanks for having me on.
Well, if I ever get back to Memphis, I know just what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hang around a house with Elvis, kick back in the jungle room. I'm gonna ride in the back of a pink Cadillac, straight out of the Graceland gates. 'Cause when the sun goes down, I'm heading into town. Got no time to waste. If I ever get back to Memphis, the one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna call in on BB King, gonna eat some barbecue and hear him sing. Gonna have a good time with Sweet Lucille, then take a walk up and down Beale. I'm gonna make my way to Rum Boogie Cafe. The Queen and Ben rock my soul away. The Blues Hall for very last chance. The hawk gonna blow and the plane's gonna dance. If I ever get back to Memphis, the one thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go with you. 'Cause Tennessee is a place to be. Whiskey and barbecue and big ass beer. The girls are pretty and the nights are long. The home of the blues, man, you can't go wrong. Brother Cropper gonna write me a song. Brother Otis gonna sing along. Wilson Pickett, Sam and Dave. Stax is the place, Soulville, USA. Remember the truth of the Reverend King. Mississippi River, wash away my sins. Gibson guitars and 50s cars. Lansky's clothes, Jerry Lee's rock and roll. If I ever get back to Memphis, one thing I'm gonna do, I said the one thing I'm gonna do, go with you. I'm gonna
That was me chatting to Chris Sims, the promoter at The Musician, with music by the Delagrants and Dawson Smith and the Dissenters. Two bands who used to play at The Musician quite a lot and hopefully will continue to play at The Musician. Now we're going to rock things up by Oceans Apart. Lovely bunch of lads. A few of them used to be in Formal Warning, but now they've decided to form a new band called Oceans Apart, which certainly is a lot more rockier and again fantastic to watch when you see them live, and great bunch of lads all round. If you want to watch the video to this, just have a look on their Facebook page. It's spelt as you would imagine, Oceans Apart. Here's Snake Around My Heart.
Serpents are cold. You live in the dark, stay for a heart full of watching. Midst of the odds, sit on the throne, study the throne. Your colors have shown, chill to the bone, into the stone. Claiming his love, I've had enough, coming you love. Thought you were serpent till my ears were working for you and your dangerous plans. But my brain was working and you are still searching to blame me your venomous hand. Forgive me for thinking you thought we were sinking, but here is for something instead. My fire's burning and I'll be returning each and everything you had planned. You live in the dark, stay for a heart falling apart. Midst of the odds, sit on the throne, study the throne. Your colors have shown, true to the bone, into the cold. Claiming his love, I've had enough, calling your bluff. Each time you tested me, each time you crossed the line and fell behind. You're just a snake round my heart. Thought you were serpent till my ears were working for you and your dangerous plans. But my brain was working and you are still searching to blame me your venomous hands. Forgive me for thinking, thought we were sinking, but here is for something we said. My fire's burning and now we returning each and everything you had planned. Dangerous plans, venomous hand. Dangerous plans, took what you needed from me. Thought we were too learned to see. Just shows up, on jealousy. Never leaves such a freedoms to be.
That was Oceans Apart and Snake Around My Heart. Now it's time for our musician to musician chat, where Lee from Prime UK Band will be chatting to local musician, singer-songwriter John Jones from just up the road in Whittick. He'll be chatting about his music and telling us all about what life was like over the last few years when he was performing on cruise ships, sailing around the world, no less. But first of all, we're going to play one of John Jones's songs, Do It For The Love.
She
was one of those material girls, man, I gave her my heart. She was pulling at the strings while I was gazing at stars, and I was feeling more than happy just playing my part. Made a living off of music, never been in the charts, and I was anxious from the start, nervous from the get-go. Nothing new to say, but I still wanna text loads, words from the heart. Flowers from Tesco, take her out to restaurants with a very strict dress code. She's got a big wardrobe, baked designer brands, enough pricey eyes to fill 1,000 hands. I try my best to flex and seem stylish, fam, but the truth is I'm not a stylish man. She asked me if I'm gonna be famous. I said that I don't know, but don't be mad, I wouldn't be sad if I never blow. She said you're not very ambitious, maybe I should go. She walks away cause I'm not chasing pain, man, I do this for the love. Was one of those quiet girls, but she caught my eye. And once we got talking, we were talking for the night. Talking not to talking wrongs and rights. Talking life and how sometimes it's hard to get by. I was arrogant at first, self-assured from the get-go. If anything I was cocky, but she thought it was sweet. Though she could see right through it like an open door. The confidence that I projected showed her I was insecure. Offered to sleep on the floor, show her I was invested. I think she took that as though I'm not interested. I try my best to seem decent, fam, but the truth is I'm not a decent man. She asked me if I'm gonna be famous. I said I don't think so, but don't you worry, I'm in a hurry, I might never blow. She said you seem kinda lazy, can't cope with your ego. She let go of mine cause she couldn't understand that I do this for the love. As long as I remember, it's been me and my sixth string, the only escape from the stress that life brings. So actually, music doesn't owe me anything, cause without music I don't think I'd be alive. They ask me if I'm gonna be famous, I say that I don't mind. These steel strings are all I need to live a happy life. It's not that I'm not ambitious, I don't care about that stuff. Until I'm dead, like Sam Smith said, I do it for the love.
We are live, local and loud. I'm Lee Hare from Prime UK Band, and that was Do It for the Love by John Jones, who I'm with this afternoon. How are you, John? You keeping well?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right today. That was your new song, Do It for the Love. How are you finding the reaction to the release? It's only been out a week, hasn't it? That particular one.
Yeah, it's been quite humbling actually. I've had a lot of messages and nice comments from people saying they're enjoying the music and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm blessed really. Couldn't have asked for anything better at this point.
Excellent. Well, it's a fantastic song. What was the inspiration behind it then? That particular one.
Do you know what? It was one of those songs where you don't really think about what you're saying. It was kind of one of those songs that started off as a bit of a rant song, and it's got a few of those tongue-in-cheek lines in and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it just kind of took on a life of its own from there.
It seems like quite a personal song. Listening to it.
Yeah, it's obviously heavily based on relationships and all that kind of stuff. In particular, my relationship with music, and then it kind of compares it to my relationship with the ladies, which I am not very successful with. So, shout out Hermitage FM. Any single girls listening?
Excellent. Yeah, we'll get the video uploaded. They can see your amazing hair on the go, and can't fail to be impressed by that one, mate. Definitely not. So with the song being about your relationship, then I kind of noticed that like, do you find that working on music can it kind of affect your relationships negatively and things like that? That kind of it seems to be a lot about people's expectations of a musician compared to the reality of a musician.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I think that there's, especially when it touches on things like egos, it touches on that in the song, and you know, for a musician like myself, you're supposed to go out there and be bold and be brave and, you know, try and entertain people. And sometimes that ego, you know, might spill over a bit, you know. But yeah, it's just trying to delve into those kind of relationships.
Feeling like it's a little bit of a vicious circle. Like, so you've got to bring that bravery to get that ego on stage, and then suddenly when you come off stage, you've kind of got to drop that back into that reality of life in a way.
Yeah, exactly. That's I've caught myself a few times, or you know, I'm the worst person for putting my foot in it. I'll say something and think, you know, I really shouldn't have said that, or why have I said that? And that is usually me trying to kind of like overcompensate, you know, for you know, you come off stage and you feel like, or you know, people know that you make music and all that kind of stuff, and they come and speak to you, and you feel like you have to be this confident kind of like guy. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, I've said so many things before when I feel, oh, I really shouldn't have said that. Do you know what I mean?
I'm sure nobody else noticed but you in a way on that front, but
yeah.
It's quite a hard balance to get right. I absolutely know that. Normally, it's a lot of drink gets me by when I'm performing. Depending on the situation, the drunker the better normally. But I'm going to play another track that you've recorded recently, and then we'll obviously talk about your recordings shortly. And we've got a track called Blossom Hill. Do you want to give a little introduction to that one?
Yeah, so this was actually one of the first proper songs I wrote way back when I was probably about 15 years old. And obviously the only things you can write about then is women. So
women or drinking White Lightning cider on the street or something like that.
Exactly. Or Blossom Hill fruity wine.
And that's the one. We'll play that one now.
Yeah, man.
That you made, I'm not okay with the games that you play. I'm not okay that you're digging your own grave. Don't wait, cause I'll be looking for my soulmate. And don't tell me I gotta do what's right, cause when I lost you, I lost the right to fight. And I won't be on the corner waiting for you on the bench where it's just me and you now. I won't give up, I won't let go. I don't know how, but I'll make it okay somehow. Flip it up, rip it up, spit it up and stick it up. Another mellow note telling how I really f***ed it up. And don't turn your back or I'll knock you to the ground. She came out babbling, laughing like a clown. She says, John, you're nothing but a f***ing joke. Don't stay up too late, cause tonight I've gotta go. Go singing in the moonlight, I'll go dancing under night lights. I don't care, I don't wanna see your I'll go singing in the backyard with my best pal Blossom Hill. Drunken off my face, I don't care much for you anymore at all. She broke down to tears when I told her slowly. Said I had to go, she said no, please don't leave. I said I have to leave, I've got people to see. It's a big wide world, she said I'm scared, I said don't be. I'll be waiting around the corner on the benches for two. It'll be just like the old times for me and you. She went to the benches, there was no one there. Poor little girly girl, she's tearing at her hair. Mascara black runs down her face. Every single tear leaves its own little trace, cause she's scared, now she's all on her own. She was scared all along, unknown of the unknown. Singing in the moonlight, I'll go dancing under night lights. I don't care, I don't wanna see your face. I'll go singing in the backyard with my best pal Blossom Hill. Drunken off my face, I don't care much for you anymore at all.
helped up and then you get knocked down. People don't care and they knock you to the ground. You get helped up and then you get knocked down. You don't care, so carry on that frown. You get helped up and then you get knocked down. People don't care and they knock you to the ground. You get helped up and then you get knocked down. But you don't care, so carry on that frown. You're clearly not the person that I thought you were. I couldn't score in a brothel when I saw you first, but you came along, you changed all that. I'm sorry I picked it up, I was acting like a but I won't say sorry for the shit I said. I was young, I was stupid, I was just misled. I hear the stories and the things that you said. All these thoughts are running through my head, and I keep my hopes down, I won't make hope worse. I hang on to your every word and every single curse. There's things I miss and there's things I don't, but I'm over this now, unknown of the unknown. Singing in the moonlight, I go dancing under night lights. I don't care, I don't wanna see your face. I'll go singing in the backyard with my best pal Blossom Hill. Drunk off my face, I don't care much for you anymore at all. There we go.
I'm Lee Hare talking with John Jones. That was his track, Blossom Hill. And so you've done a lot of travelling over the last 4 years, haven't you, Johnny? You've kind of been around the world on cruises and things like that, doing a mixture of mainly your own material.
Yeah, I've been since 2016. Been out on and off the cruise ships, trying to make a living. As you know, it's hard for a musician nowadays. It's a tough life. But yeah, I've spent a lot of time started off in Australia, been around the States a lot, America, Caribbean, all around really, a bit of the Med. So yeah, it's been a great experience.
Is it mainly English people on the cruises, or do they pick up like people as they go around the world? What tends to be the kind of audiences that you're in front of?
Yeah, it tends for me to be. I've not actually had much of a big English audience. Usually it's been Americans and Australians, older clientele, so they love the Beatles and Johnny Cash and all that kind of stuff. So it's a bit different for me, but it's definitely something that I recommend for musicians. Go out, see a bit of the world.
How do you find talking to the different nationalities? Like, how do you find the Australians compared to the Americans, and to talk to after you've played? Or
the Australians are absolutely amazing. The Australians are my kind of people. The kind of people who will wake up, roll out of bed, go down to the bar and crack open a beer. Kind of people, And there's a bit of back and forth with Australia. You can say whatever you want to the Australian crowd, and they'll be behind you, but they'll also give you a little bit of stick as well. They like to heckle. But the Americans you have to be a bit more careful with, because they're a bit more American.
Yeah, a bit more sensitive.
Just a bit, yeah.
So I don't want to say anything about the Americans and the American way of life, or the Donald Trump supporters.
Stay away from all of that.
How do you find it when you come back from a tour like that and playing on the cruise? How do you find coming back to the English audiences in venues and bars? Then how do you find the difference when you come back?
I think I feel a bit more free when I come back, especially. Obviously, there's an expectation of me when I'm on these cruise ships. A certain way I should really dress, a certain way I should carry myself. Not that I'm walking around when I'm back just acting like a scally and all that, but there's expectations of me here. You can go into a live venue and no one's really got any expectations or anything. It's very freeing, But also, I'd say it's great being held to that standard while I'm away, because it does help me improve while I'm back, especially in terms of live performance. Playing for 2 hours a day on the ships for a stretch of 4 months is it's gonna get you in practice. So
yeah, it keeps you professional, keeps that kind of showmanship and that variation that you sometimes don't get just by playing in your town or city, kind of thing, isn't it? Really.
Exactly.
So we've got one more track for you before we go into the end of the interview. We've got a track called Murder She Wrote. Do you want to tell me a little bit about? Well, what I'll do, I'll spin the track. I'll let you tell me a bit more about it once we've played that. This is Murder She Wrote by John Jones.
Where have you been hiding? It's been so long, my friend. Did you get the letters that I sent? Why are you still running when we both know the truth? That you belong to me and I to you. Are you still out there gallivanting with your two best friends? The ones who said that I was just bad news. Do they keep you warm at night? Do they tuck you in real tight? I bet they don't. They're nowhere out of sight. It's murder she wrote. Who done it and who's to blame? It's a game of Cluedo, but the outcome's always the same. So I'll roll the dice, I won't think twice. I'll pray for a 666. When I win, you'll claim it's a fix. I saw you walking around town the other day. Your head was way up there in the clouds. Rumor is you lost your job, spent all your money on God knows what. I would help you if you'd let me. It's murder she wrote. Who done it and who's to blame? It's a game of Cluedo, but the outcome's always the same. So I'll roll the dice, I won't think twice. I'll pray for a 666. When I win, our problems will be fixed. Murder she wrote. Who done it and who's to blame? It's a game of Cluedo, the outcome's always the same. So I'll roll the dice, I won't think twice. I'll pray for a 666. When I win, you won't care a bit. 'Cause you're still up to your old tricks.
We are live, local and loud. I'm Lee here and I'm talking to John Jones. That was your track Murder She Wrote. Do you want to just tell me a bit more about that one, John? Theme behind that?
Yeah, that song's just basically about, again, relationships and how women always have to be right about everything, basically. When obviously a relationship falls apart and people can't come to common ground on anything, and it just kind of, you end up hating each other. And you in that situation, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. It's murder she wrote, isn't it?
Yeah, Definitely not a good situation to be in. The track was recorded by your you work with your brother on the production side of things. Then he produces, and you obviously perform and songwrite. So tell me a bit more about your relationship with Ben.
So Ben runs a little thing called BMJ Music, and what he basically specialises in is doing kind of show reels for people who need like show reels for live, for theatre work and everything like that. He's based down in London, but he also is a really, really good producer, and we've been talking about trying to get me down to London for a while to work on some projects. And it just so happened that, COVID gave us quite a bit of spare time. After I'd left the cruise ship, went straight down to London and stayed there for a couple of months, and we bashed out a load of songs. So there's a lot more to come as well.
So whereabouts in London is he? What's his setup at the moment then down there?
So we recorded most of that in his bedroom in a flat in Croydon, which is a proper DIY music stuff. But yeah, it was just basically us, a Mac, a load of microphones, a load of guitars, and we just went for it, really.
Yeah, the recordings have got a lot of life to them, and you've got still some stuff in the bag ready to release probably after the summer's over, I think you said.
Yeah, I think end of summer we're going to go ahead and release another single, which will be called "Where'd You Get Those Shoes?" So that will be coming in a few months. We've got everything recorded and ready to go. So yeah, that'll be coming. And then towards the end of the year, we actually have a whole album recorded, which is ready to go. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
Yes, you're building up to that, getting each release, getting a bigger response, and just trying to get that ready so that the album's going to drop at a good time for you. Well, I do wish you the very best of luck with it. Really enjoying the music and that you've been putting out. It's John.Jones official on your Instagram, so that we could, the girls listening in, see the loftiness of the hair, which I'm very, very jealous about at the moment. And John Jones Acoustic, all one word for your Facebook as well, isn't it? Yeah. Type in facebook.com, John Jones Acoustic. Have a good evening, mate, and thanks very much for coming and joining us on the show today, and thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me on, mate.
That was Lee chatting to John Jones, local singer-songwriter. Can't wait for that new album when it comes out nearer Christmas. Now it's time for a bit of garage rock with Border and Chew Me Up. Order and Chew Me Up. Great little band, often playing on the local music scene, and long may they continue to do so. Okay, that pretty much wraps up this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget, if you want to find out what's going on in the local music scene, have a look at musicinleicester.co.uk. There's also a very handy gig guide of all gigs coming up, including all the ones that we were chatting about at The Musician, and hopefully John Jones will be putting some in there as well. Okay, so that's www.musicinleicester.co.uk. You'll also be able to listen to podcasts of this show, today's show, not last week's show because I was on holiday, but the week before and previous shows. See you at the same time, same place next week. Do have a good week.